Hey, everybody. Thank you for coming in and being part of our masterclass. This is part of the series that I want you all successful women to be part of. And today's guest is Erica Mitchell Izondu, and she is with Maven Brook Solutions. And I'm going to read this, so I'm not going to look at her. She's the founder and CEO of Maven Brook Solutions, a concierge accounting and tax firm based in Connecticut. I love Connecticut. Through her work, she helps individuals and small businesses navigate taxes, bookkeeping, and IRS issues. Yeah, and financial planning with confidence. Her firm specializes in fractional CFO services, IRS audit, and proactive tax planning. And that's what we're going to speak about a lot today for you wonderful, beautiful women. She has a strong focus on education, empowerment for junior and high school seniors, and helping clients avoid costly financial services and mistakes. Okay, yay, Erica.
Thank you for
All
having
right,
me. I
Erica.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate your time. This is wonderful. And we got a few surprises at the end that you're giving us. I'm so excited. All right, so let's dive in really deep.
Yeah.
The top seven things women need to know about.
Yes.
Okay, go.
Okay. First, read your tax return. Actually, you should be reading every single financial document, but especially your tax return, and you need to understand what's on it. We see that one of the biggest mistakes women make is they just sign their return and they've never read it. They don't understand the numbers. They don't know their filing status. They don't know what claims are on the return, credits are on the return, rather, and they don't know how to explain what's on the return. Why does this matter to you? Well, your tax return is used for loans, for mortgages, for financial aid, for you or your dependents. If you're trying to start a new business opportunity, if you have some immigration matters, sometimes your taxes are taken into account there. So at
Oh,
the bare minimum, we ask people to be able to read and identify your filing status. What income is on the return? What dependents are on the return? Make sure those dependents are really your dependents. Don't have random
yeah.
children you don't know. And we've seen that happen. When it comes to your bank account, is that your bank account or does it tie to the bank account that you're getting the refund anticipation loan or check through? What credits are on the return? And are those credits appropriate for you? Would you be getting something like a first-time home buyer's credit if you don't have a home? And look at the
Good
refund
point.
amount. Is that amount the same amount that's being deposited into your account? Um,
Very good.
your
I
tax
like it.
return is a financial document. It's not just paperwork you sign once a year. And if something happens and there's something wrong, the IRS is going to consider you responsible. So you really
Mm.
need to read it and be familiar with it. The second is to get an IP PIN. And I don't know if many people have heard of an
Oh,
IP PIN.
mm-mm.
It's kind of newish in the last few years, but it's an identity protection number. And
Okay.
it's similar to, like, think of your social security number, but it's much smaller. It's issued by the IRS. It's free to get, but you put it on your return and it certifies that you are who you say you are. So we recommend this for, well, I recommend it for everyone, but anyone whose social security number has been compromised, which I think at this point is literally everybody. Um,
Seriously.
mhm. Anyone with shared custody situations, maybe you're not
Mm.
in the most pleasant space with a person you're co-parenting with, and you're afraid that they might try to use you or your minor dependents. I would get an IP PIN. I recommend it for elderly taxpayers who are vulnerable, so that they're not being used for someone else's return, and especially for domestic violence survivors or persons who are in the
Oh,
middle of something like that.
oh, good point.
Yes.
Mm.
Especially when you're in the middle of something turmoil like that, you're
Yeah,
vulnerable. People take your information. You don't know what's going on. You can't keep an eye on everything. But if you have an IP PIN, you cannot be used to be filed on. So no one can file a return with your information, rather.
interesting. And
Hmm.
they just started doing that a few years ago.
Oh, I want to say it feels like less than 10 years. I'm probably
It,
wrong, but it's been
yeah,
recent.
yeah, because I do exempt, so I do mine differently all the time. But I
Hmm.
do know that I do have that set up.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I
Yeah.
recommend for everybody.
Yeah, it's really huge. I've been compromised by the state of Massachusetts so many times when I lived there. It was like ridiculous.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I mean, we've all had credit card information stolen. You go to a certain store, your information stolen from there. You apply for a credit card, that information was stolen, and you never know
Right.
what people are using your information for, but people are filing fraudulent tax returns. People are stealing
Mhm.
your social security number and they find out your birth date and now they can file your return. So if you have an IP PIN, it's usually I think it's like 6 digits, then you can put that on the return and it says, "Oh, I am who I say I am."
Interesting. Kind of like
Mhm.
your own fingerprint or your
Exactly.
star from the license. Nice. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, we need that now.
Yes. My third recommendation is to read your IRS notice. Um, and IRS notices don't have to be scary. I think people automatically assume if you see something with the IRS logo, you're in trouble. That is, I would say maybe 50% of the time, it's not true. You're not in trouble. They might be saying we're missing some information. We couldn't read some information on your return. We have a question about dependents. It can be very easy and just a simple, hey, here's the information you need to know. Where people get nervous is they assume it's an audit. And there are different
Mm,
types of audits. Some of them are very just, I want to say easy peasy. You give them some information, you mail it off. But you won't know if you don't open the letter. First step,
right.
open the letter,
Yes,
read the
open the
letter.
letter.
And if you
Hmm.
have questions, there are people who can help you. And I'm going to get to that in just a second, but just please, please open the letter and read it. And oftentimes you'll find out it's not as scary as you think it is. But who can help you with an IRS notice, a letter, a communication, or your state notice and communication? This is my next step. Know who's preparing your taxes. There are different levels to tax preparation and tax preparers. So there are
Hmm.
the most basic people. They're out there. Um, they know how to use the software. You give them your information, they plug it into the software, and everyone
Hmm.
just walks away at the end of the meeting, right?
Right.
Those persons are not as secure, and I don't always recommend using persons like that because you don't know where they're coming from. You don't know their background. You don't know how long they've been doing tax preparation. You don't know if they've done their credits every year. So the IRS has this program called the Annual Filing Season Program. And these are for persons who are not CPAs, who are not enrolled agents, who are not attorneys, but they want to get annual continuing education and be recognized by the IRS as someone who's allowed to do tax returns. They're listed in the IRS Preparer Directory, which is a free directory. You can look up your tax preparer in it, and I recommend that everyone do that. They have limited representation rights. So generally, they can only speak on the tax return that they prepared in the year it was prepared. But at least you know these persons have met the basic requirements by the IRS to do a tax return.
Interesting.
Mhm. Next are enrolled agents. And those are persons who they specialize in taxation. They go through a rigorous IRS exam. It's very long, very involved. It's very hard. And they are legally allowed by the IRS to represent taxpayers, any taxpayer, before the IRS.
Hmm.
So I like to think of them kind of as like tax lawyers without the lawyer degree.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the IRS exam to get an enrolled agent designation is intense. People study for years to get this, and people
Really?
fail. People fail hard getting it. It takes a long
Wow.
time. It's very,
Wow.
it's 3 sessions. Each session is about 3 hours long, and they cover different parts of the tax law. And it changes every year.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah.
So they really, I mean, when you commit to doing the enrolled agent, it is a time commitment. But once you get it,
Mm.
now you can represent anyone, any circumstance. And it's really just, it's a wonderful designation. And those persons, when they say I'm an enrolled agent, you know they've really been vetted by the IRS.
Yeah, so they've been really researched and
Yeah.
fingerprinted and FBI
Oh,
secured and the whole bit.
yeah. Yep.
Okay, got it.
And then there's certified public accountants, so CPAs, and everyone's familiar with the CPA. They're licensed by the state boards, but not every CPA focuses on tax resolution or individual tax planning. They might focus on accounting or business advisory or audits. So when you're working with a CPA, you want to ask them, well, what's your taxation specialty? How many returns do you do per year? Do you stay up to date with the changes in the law, and how do you do that? What does your education look like? So when
This is like incredible information. This is like
I've
I've had my own business since I was in my 20s,
mhm,
so a little bit. And I've always done my own taxes and
mhm.
everything like that. And I know a lot of things that you can do as far as an entrepreneur and business owner. But this is great because they don't teach you this.
No, no.
See, and that's why I wanted you to come in to my group because that's what my focus is on. They don't teach you this in school.
Mhm.
How the heck are you supposed to survive when
Yeah,
you need this information on a daily basis?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been in the industry 20 years now, and I learn something new every single day. You're
Oh,
always
I
learning,
believe
you're
it.
always evolving. And that's why I really encourage people when they're meeting with a tax preparer for the first time, ask them lots of questions. This is a long-term relationship, hopefully. You want someone that what is your specialty? Where did you get credentialed? How did you get credentialed? What does your education look like every year? Do you handle IRS notices? Do you only work with businesses? Do you work with only families? And this is the important question, when are you available after the tax season?
Oh, good point.
Yeah, so you want someone who's going to be available after April 15th. And I always, when I work with my clients, I tell them, here's when we're on vacation, here's when the office is closed, but you can always find us. You can find me, my assistant, my other tax preparers. We're always around year round.
Mm,
And I tell people, this is my favorite sentence. The cheapest preparer can become your most expensive mistake.
so true.
Mhm. So please don't evaluate your tax preparer by the cost because there's much more involved in their value than just what it's going to cost you. If something happens, is that person available to help you navigate the IRS? Are they able to answer your questions? Can they explain things on your return to you? This is a partnership that you want to build with your tax preparer, like anybody else, like your doctor or like your mechanic. You won't just take your car anywhere. You're going to take it to someone trusted. It should be the same with your taxes.
Fantastic. That's such good advice. And a lot of people just think of tax season. And I
Mhm.
do know a lot of people that do taxes and that kind of thing. But after like the end of April, they're gone. They're just like,
Right,
you won't see them again. That's
right,
like, okay, well, you're obviously in it for the 4 or 6 weeks, and that's
exactly,
it. Yeah.
exactly.
Wow.
Um,
Great information.
yeah, yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad. The next tip that I have is about the tax software. I'm not against tax software. I don't think any tax preparer really is, but there are times when it's appropriate and times when I would say it's not appropriate for someone to use tax software. And as consumers, it's really important you be knowledgeable about when you should use a tool.
Okay.
Tax software is really good for simple returns. If you have one
Mm,
or two W-2s, maybe one child, and there's no activity with that child. So they're not in daycare, they're not in college, they don't have a lot going on. Maybe they're just in school, maybe they're in fifth grade, they go to a regular normal elementary school, and you have one W-2. I would say use software. It's going to save you some money, save you some time.
right.
However, if you own a business, have multiple income streams, sold or bought property, have custody or dependent issues, have an IRS notice, are going through a divorce or just been divorced, are if you're self-employed, I would recommend that you do not use software because you want to have a human who's going to ask you deeper planning questions. You want them to work through a personalized strategy with you. You want someone who's going to hear your responses and then through conversation, come up with some more context and then flesh out some other things that may be going on. And a human's going to be better able to identify unusual risk areas than a computer program.
Mm,
The computer program is only going to know what you give it. Humans, we're nosy. We're going to ask questions. We're going to be inquisitive. We're going to dig into whatever you're telling us. And from there, we can build and say, well, you know what? This may be better for you. Or maybe this track strategy is better for you. Or, hey, you said something that triggered something that makes me want to ask you something else.
right. Build that conversation and that partnership. So
Exactly.
true. So true.
Exactly. So I'm not ever going to say, oh, software is bad. I think some of the software is really great. I
Mhm.
would just say, let's use it wisely.
Right. Once you start getting into complications, like you said, then it gets up to be a nightmare. Yeah,
Yes.
I ran into that situation a long, long time ago. Yeah.
We see people every single year with that. And it's, you don't know until you're in the middle of it. But once you have a family, I say let's start moving away from software. Once you buy a house, let's start moving away from software. If you have a business, please do not look at the software. Go to a human and let them help you. And if after a little bit of time you say, what, I think I can do this, go back and try it. No problem. But at least, especially with your initial return as a new business, let a human help you.
Right. Because I know for a fact that if you don't have somebody on that's going to be your partner and hold your hand, especially
Mhm.
when you're starting out a business and you're actually making a profit, even if
Mhm.
it's $10, you want to have that tax person with you, no matter what, Tupperware, Mary Kay,
Absolutely.
whatever. If you're starting a business and making some kind of anything on the side or whatever, Uber, anything, you
Mhm.
need to have that partnership because the tax laws change so
Yes.
quick and
Yes.
you don't get notified when they get changed. Maybe
Exactly.
you do for your business, but I would never get notified.
Exactly, exactly. And unfortunately, every year we have difficult conversations with clients who have a business or had a lot going on their return and they didn't know the changes to be aware of. And so they end up owing money that they didn't need to.
Gotcha.
And we
Interesting.
hate to see that, really hate to see that.
Mm. Okay, great. What else you got, girl?
Yep, my next tip is to always check your IRS online account at least twice a year. So it's a free account. It's easy to log into. You do have to set up a username and password, and you have to go through verification and make sure you are who you say you are. But once you get access, you can go in, and I recommend you do it in June and December and look at, do you have a balance due? Look at your payment history. If there's any notices to you, maybe you're not getting your mail regularly, check to see if there's any notices from the IRS. You can check your transcripts. You can make sure that your return was filed and received and accepted.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So it's, part of staying healthy and financially healthy is being aware of what's going on with the IRS.
I love it.
And then finally, and this is a big one, and people are going to argue with me. Someone always does, and I'm okay with this. Large refunds are not always a good thing.
No,
They
they're not.
really aren't. Many people celebrate these large refunds and they don't know what it really means. 12,000, 13,000, 14,000. I've seen $20,000 in refund. That
What?
tells me two things. Either one, you have a lot of refundable credits, and those are credits that will give you the amount identified or calculated, even if you don't have a tax liability. So most credits are used to lower your taxable liability. Refundable credits say, okay, well, even if your tax is zero, we're still going to pay you this amount of money. If you have a lot
That's
of
crazy.
refundable credits, you are going to see a refund. However, for most people, if you have large refunds, that usually tells me that you've had way too much money withheld from your paycheck all year, which means that you gave the
Mm.
government interest-free loan and no one is giving out interest-free loans. So why are you doing
Right. And that leads into exempt and non-exempt,
that?
which is my favorite. I love that word, exempt. It's my favorite.
We're going to talk about that. But when
Yeah.
it comes to like the large refunds, if you're getting anything, I would say anything over 3 or 4,000, we should really have a conversation and identify where you could reduce your withholding and maybe contribute to a high yield savings account, some insurance, maybe some life insurance. Uh, We'll talk through some financial planning. Maybe you can use that to reduce some debt. So that way you're using your money in a way that's helpful to you and you're still going to get yourself a refund, but it's not going to be these astronomical amounts that really could have been better used and better, used for your family.
True. True. Good point.
Yep.
This is wonderful. I love this. I
Yeah, I'm
love
so
this.
glad. But like you said, exempt and non-exempt. So, we talk about this a lot. And people have very strong feelings about exempt versus non-exempt.
Mhm.
high level exempt means you get no overtime. You're usually a salaried employee and you work a set number of hours, or you're supposed to work a set number of hours for a set income. Non-exempt, usually an hourly worker, and you have overtime. And there are benefits and, well, pros and cons to both. It's not one fits everybody it fits everybody differently is a long way of saying
Right.
that. So what may work for you and you want to be an exempt employee, I might say, you know what? I'd rather be hourly because if I work longer than 40 hours, then I will get overtime pay. Or I might get holiday bonus pay or things like that. When people are evaluating a job, especially women who have been in situations where they haven't worked for a long time, I definitely tell them to talk with the employer before you accept the position and know what that means, especially if you're going to be exempt, so that you know what exempt is expected of you. And it's a little different at some places. So typically, exempt salary workers, you're going to get paid a fixed amount every single pay period. And then if you work 40 hours, you get the same amount as if you work 50, 60, 70 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen where people were able to negotiate and say, listen, if you are telling me that this job is normally 60 hours a week, well, that's 60 hours away from my family. I want to be compensated a little bit extra for those hours over 40. I have seen that. That's definitely something I would suggest you try to negotiate. If when you're talking to the future employer and they're saying, oh yeah, everybody works 50 hours, well, how are you going to compensate me for this time away from my family?
Yeah.
Um, Ask what the expected weekly hours are. Is it 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours? Know what you're walking into. If the job is a hourly job, are you going to get overtime? Um, do they start overtime at 40 hours and a half or 40 hours and 1 minute? Know what the state law says and then what your employer is doing so you know if that's something you can work with.
Mm.
Ask how the workload is managed. I was at a job once where, goodness, there was four of us when we started. 1 month in, there was two of us. The next month in, there was one of us. Where do you
Oh
think all
my
that work
gosh.
went?
Yeah. Dumped right on you.
Right. And if that's something that you don't think you can handle in talking with the employer, don't take the job. Not all jobs are good jobs. And just because it
Right.
says it's an exempt job, you're going to have a salary, it may not be a great fit for you. Find out if
Yeah.
there's after hours communication expected and if that's compensated.
A lot of places won't do that,
Yeah,
especially now if you work at home.
exactly. Exactly. But that's taking time away from your family. So I think of work as the place I go to provide for the rest of my life. It's
Yes.
not the driving factor of my life. And the women I work with, I encourage them to think of work as this is taking away from the most important part of your life, which is your family and your children and your loved ones, whoever they are. So if it's not compensating you in the way that you need to be compensated, that may not be a good fit for you. And it's okay to keep looking. It's okay to say, that doesn't work for me. Thank you very much. I think I'll look elsewhere.
Right. Exactly. Because nobody's going to stick up for you but you.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you being with your position, you must see it a ton of times because I know I see it all the time. It's like the sun is out. There it is again.
Mhm.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So that brings us to pretty much your special.
Yes, yep. So we are hosting a tax seminar for high school juniors, seniors, and college students entering the workforce for the first time. We are going to review a W-4, how to complete it, what it means, how to answer the questions on it. We're also going to look at a pay stub to make sure that the persons who attend the webinar, excuse me, the seminar, know how to read a pay stub to make sure it's accurate and they're getting compensated correctly. And then finally, we're going to prepare a tax return together so they can see what the information on a tax return, what it ties to, and how important it is to fill these out and then the information that's on there. There is a cost
Nice.
for this. It is $25, but we do have a scholarship because we do acknowledge that, especially for students, it may be hard getting that money. And we want everyone to have knowledge. Maven Brook, we're very, very very in tune with education and financial education, wanting people to have the right tools as they move forward in their life. So we want to start early with students.
And
Again,
I'll be willing to help out with some scholarships too.
Oh, that's
I think it's so
lovely.
important. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Thank you. So the
Yeah.
event is Saturday, May 23rd. It starts at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's for an hour
Okay.
and a half, and there will be plenty of time for question and answers. Everyone will have access to myself and my team. So if they don't have their questions answered during the call, or if they get, some people are shy, they can definitely reach out
Hmm.
to us. We want to be available. And I will give you the link so that you can share it with your team.
Awesome. That would be wonderful. I would love that. Is that okay if I put that in our
Oh yeah.
master class face? Okay, great. Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Well, it has been such a pleasure. I'm so excited to get all this great information. I know I have some work to do. I never knew I could go into the IRS and find my account.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's gold right there.
Oh yeah.
That
It's
is
very easy to
gold.
do. Oh, I'm so glad.
Excellent.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you,
excellent.
Sheila. I appreciate this opportunity.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you. This is wonderful. And we will talk soon. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
All right. Thank you.